This is the Illimitable Experience podcast. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Illimitable Experience podcast. If you're watching this video, like this video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel. We are posting great content regularly. With that, today we have as our guest my friend Kairav Shah. Hi Kairav, how's it going?
All good, man, and all good. How are you, man? I mean, I was smiling because the only time we speak is on podcasts, which is very bad. So I thought I was smoking, but we should talk more often, not on podcast usually. But I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So Kairav, I don't know how many people must have watched the previous episode that you were on, but this is a complete different episode, and we won't be doing the same things as we had done it in the previous episode with you.
I
It's
don't remember it.
Right. And I mean, today we are here to, I want to know more about your work. I think one of the things that I've always, uh, not put an effort in is what is in knowing what my friends do, especially the ones जो science वाले background से है. I have most of the time all my friends जो भी है साइंस वाले से जो इंजीनियरिंग किया उन लोग क्या काम करते हैं मेरे को पता है नहीं. I have zero idea about it. All I know that they are engineers. So today this is the first time that I'll be digging deep into the work that you are doing, which is product management. So Kairav, my first, this is something that a stereotype that you must have also heard is that engineers who cannot code turn to project management. तो ये जो statement है, how true is it, and what do you think about this statement now that you have been in the industry for like 3 years and you have been a product manager for nearly 2 years?
So I mean, first of all, let me break your question into two parts, right? So
Yeah.
first, it's a product managers and project managers are very, very different things. Two very, very different things. There is a lot of confusion in the industry, and see, it's fine. When I was like starting out, right? This is like 4-5 years back when I was just introduced to the world of product management. I was also confused. I didn't know what product management was. I thought it's similar to project management. I thought it's both are similar, but both are completely different things. So project management is something like which has, to explain in a simple language, project management has a boundary to it. Product management doesn't have a boundary to it. What I mean by it is that if you are a project manager, I can tell you, Manan, this is A point and this is B point. B is your target and you have your boundaries. Please do this work in this amount of time and you will do it. So it has a limited boundary. It has already set defined boundaries. It has set guidelines for a particular project or anything. Product is someone like a product manager is someone who set these boundaries. Product management is something like, I don't know the boundaries at all. It's like I am the person who decides, okay, let's go from A to B. Let's go from B to C. Let's go from C to D. So that is what a product manager does. And once that A to B, B to C, C to D is decided, then I can give, okay, you know what, project manager A, do A to B. Project manager B, do B to C. So once the guidelines are defined, then project manager comes. Product manager is a little bit completely different, which is more of a high level, more of a top view of what product is. The second question, engineers who code. See, I have had friends who are product managers with zero technical background. They are from like a design background also. I've seen architectures also be a very, very good product managers. And product management is a very, very subjective role. It's not something like, okay, if I learn these skill set, I'll be a very, very good product manager. That's not true. So anybody, if you feel like, if you're good at, if you have like more technical as well as a little bit of business side to yourself, you can be a very good product manager. If you are very much, entrepreneurial, and this is just my definition, my perspective, what I've observed. Now, a person which is completely different background can also be a very good product manager. So it's about knowing your product. It's about, understanding the depth of your product. So there is no limitation to it. There is no particular set of skill set to be a good product manager or to become a product manager. There is no part defined at all. So if that answers the question.
Right. So yes, I think ये जो project management वाला जो term है, I think it is widely used in India and not in USA. And the term product manager has been widely used in USA. Now, how true is that? Because देखो, even on LinkedIn, right? It's not that you कभी-कभी pop हो जाता है some random profiles of engineers plus MBA, engineers plus master in science वाले. तो उनका जो most of the time title रहा है in the place that they are working, it has been project manager or management, whatever they are convenient with using. So how would you differentiate between the two with respect to the country? I mean, you might have friends who are working in India, so unka bhi, you must have any back and forth conversation about this.
No, I mean, the thing I tell you, Anand, is that this is what I've observed. India, where there is a lot of consulting firms, say TCS, Infosys, like Essential. There's a lot of clients in US, right? To India or US ka time zone is 10, 11 hours difference. I'm just considering buffer. So when a client in US, right, assigns a task to a team in India, right, you need that one person to catch hold of. So that's what that person is doing. That
Right.
See, manager is a very it's a very wrong term. There is, see, in product world, right, there is nothing like manager. You're not managing people, you're managing the product, right? That's the definition. When project manager comes, the project manager exists when it started came into existence, right? When this thing happened, right? When there are people in India and your client is in US, and you cannot go to each and every team member ki kaam hua ki nahi, kya hua ki nahi. You'll ask one person, and that your person is reporting person. So person का काम ऐसे कुछ नहीं. He's not managing the product. He's not managing the project actually. He's managing the people within the project. कि भाई दे ले, तेरा काम इतना है, तेरा काम इतना है, तेरा काम इतना है. So that is where the project manager got introduced. पहले तो था ही नहीं. There was no project manager at all. There was no product manager also. There was product owner. पहले product owner own the product. उसका काम नहीं था people को manage करना. मेरा काम है मैं product को manage करूंगा. Now there was Scrum master. फिर engineering manager होता था, who manages the engineers and developers, right? जो product owner के साथ काम करता था. So this manager terms, right, ये सब after this TCS, Accenture, ये सब हुआ after 2005-7 में ज्यादा बूम हुआ. उसके बाद ये सब इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ. बिकॉज सी इफ समथिंग गोज रॉन्ग, who will you catch?
Right.
कोई तो पकड़ने के लिए चाहिए ना. I want to catch somebody. So that's where the manager, the project manager, this thing came into play. So that was my first, that's what I read about in a book. But yeah.
Okay, so now I understand a little bit of difference, and correct me if I'm understanding it wrongly. So project manager का काम है कि जो भी, it's like he's like the head of department of the department that he's been given to, right? The work that he has been given to, उसके अंदर काफी सारे लोग होंगे, and he just has to report to the person who has given him the project or her the project, right? So and your job as a product manager is to look specifically into the functioning of one particular department or one particular product that your company or your organization is making.
So it's not department. See, a company can have many products, right? For example, let's take Amazon, right? Amazon Prime is one product. Amazon AWS is one product. Then Amazon e-commerce is one product, right? So every of this is a different business unit. It's a different product in itself, right? उसके अंदर भी types रहेंगे. For example, e-commerce website में men's section. So you are like just looking after the men's product. So there are bifurcations within that also. So you pretty much own that product. You own that men's apparel section. Any decisions I make will be specific to this. So I will be head of product with respect to men's apparel in Amazon e-commerce. फिर उसके ऊपर आएगा कि product manager Amazon e-commerce. फिर उसके ऊपर आएगा Amazon product manager. So head of product बोलते हैं कि director of product management. So it's a hierarchy within that, but it's like depends on the company. Depends on the company products hai. Each product can have a different product manager also, and one single product manager also. So it's completely dependent to company to company.
Right. Kairav, you started your career in 2020. You started off as an operational analyst. and then you got promoted to the product manager level. So what was the uh, lessons that you learned in those between those years of being an operational analyst and between being a product manager that led you to be promoted as a product manager of the place that you're working now?
Yeah, I mean, see, when I started, right, I started as an intern. I started as an operations intern, pretty much.
Mm,
Okay, as you said, went to operation analyst, and that actually is relevant to what I studied. So I did my master's in industrial engineering, little bit towards the data side and supply chain side. So I was
mm,
working in fintech supply chain from the same company, and I was pretty much a supply chain analyst, operational analyst, which is relevant to what I was doing. Now, I wanted to excel into my career, right? So I had a really, really good people around, to be very frank, man. Ki मेरे जो
mm,
manager है, I mean manager है, he's a very good guy, and I had a very good transparent bond with him. So I was thinking कि after operation analyst, where would I go? Okay, so I was looking more into data, कि मैं data
mm,
में जाऊँ. But I was not sure कि do I really, really enjoy that? So I was skeptical
mm,
about it. मुझे genuinely जाना, because I'm not a very, very core data person, because I did not do like data science, or I did not know कि मुझे genuinely पसंद है कि नहीं, and I have that skill set, to do it. So since I was like little bit entrepreneurial, I was involved since I joined as an intern, right? So I was involved working with people from different departments. So मैं
mm,
सब काम किया, like I've worked with the marketing team initially as well. I've worked
mm.
with operations, product के साथ भी I've worked with sales also. So I was pretty much exposed to everything, because when I
Okay.
joined, the company was not that big. My department was not that big. So I got the
Mm,
opportunity to work with every department. So that
mm,
that that actually helped me, when you have
mm.
cross knowledge of all the department. So that
Okay.
that makes a good product manager, because if you're running a product, if you're a product manager, you
Mm,
need to know everything about the product. You are the owner of
mm,
it, right? So I
mm.
build good rapport with the developers. I build good rapport with the growth team. So I started as a growth product manager. So what growth product
Okay.
manager is like? Growth product manager is working with sales and marketing team specifically. So I started with that because I was closely working with sales and marketing team initially, and then moved to core product manager, which is the normal product manager. Is a abhi
Mm.
introduced by Manan ki growth product manager. Then there is
Okay.
technical product manager. You might have heard this. So technical is more towards uh, development. Just
Mm.
develop. Growth is like working closely with growth team. Then there is operation, product something like product ops. It's like product operations. So that is closely
Okay.
working with operations team. So these are like under
Mm.
bifurcation. So I was exposed to it, and I started doing all this. So my manager
Mm.
actually introduced me that, okay, why don't you go this route? Because you
Mm.
seem to be like a person who enjoys storytelling. You seem to be like a
Mm.
person who wants to be on the front end, not on the back end.
Mm.
You will enjoy
Mm.
this. So this was a suggestion. Then I researched about it. So I started as an associate product manager. So everyone starts with an associate product manager. You assist a product manager. So
Mm.
I just like became a shadow for that person, जो हमारा product manager था. I just followed
Mm.
him there to all the meetings. और जो छोटे छोटे काम रहते थे, I started doing it. So that was my
Mm.
real world product experience. कि चलो ये छोटा काम
Mm.
कर दिया. फिर like कुछ ये करना है, चलो ये कर दिया मैंने. So in that way, I started understanding, okay, how you do it. And
Mm.
then eventually doing that, I made a transition to product manager. So I was lucky. I was lucky to have a
Mm.
very, very good, transparent relationship with my manager. And see,
Mm.
anyone asks me right now, okay, how did you make a jump? Because product manager
Mm.
is the thing, right? Key, it's subjective. So it's preferred to have a management degree. That's what I've
Oh,
heard.
okay.
It's a very
Okay.
difficult to. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but from what I've
Mm.
heard, it's very difficult to land a PM role without any experience. If you don't have any PM experience, it's very difficult. So most people, if you see, वो लोग internally transition करते हैं. They transition into product management internally within a company. So मैं
Okay.
पहले analyst था, then I became a product
Mm.
manager in the same company, right? So
Mm.
people usually move within the company to a PM role. I've
Mm.
seen people who directly landed a PM role also without any experience. See, but it's a few cases, right?
Mm.
Most people are just like transitioning internally. So
Right.
so many people ask me, I'm like, take on more work. Like no one is gonna say no to you to take less work, right? To
Mm.
take more work. So the more people you work with, the more department you engage with, right? The more you will learn, and that is helpful to understand the complete in and out of a particular product. So yeah, I was very, very lucky. And then
Mm.
I loved it. So it's very associated with the idea of storytelling and all that
Mm-hmm.
happened. It's fun.
Right.
It's a,
Mm-hmm. Kairav, all this time while you were talking, you were uh, repetitively mentioned how what it's like to have a great manager or a boss, I would say, the person you're reporting to. Uh, is this the case with every person who wants to be a good product manager, that you need to have a great boss, or you need to have that engineer MBA wala degree to do that? Because even when you shared had sent across the PPT that you had prepared, and which spoke at the university where you went to, there was this really funny photo that you had posted with Jake Peralta. There, can you pull that up? Don't go for the employer, but go for the manager. So, how did you come to this conclusion, and what is the difference between employer and a manager? How different they are?
see, it can be it's a good question. And this is my feeling that a manager can change your professional career entirely. If you have a very good manager, that person can literally change your idea, your career. So I always tell people that go for a good manager, because even though it is a very good company, right, Manan, it is possible that the department are very small. It's a team of 5, 7 people. Let's say Amazon, maybe if you go, it's a very, very big company, right? So within Amazon also, there are departments which has just 7, 8 people, right? So doesn't matter, like, if you are in the company, if you're a very big company, your team can be small. So having that very close relationship with your manager, right? And product, I will talk about why it's important in product management later on. But eventually, for any job, I feel it's very important to have a very transparent relationship with the manager. Because the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, like, if they know your vulnerabilities, if they know your, which things you're good at, right? And if you're not scared to share anything with them, uh, they can actually change your, they can guide you, and they can guide you in a way which works for you. And saying again, like, if it goes wrong way, it can, I've seen people who have like suffered also. So in a very good company, very good people also, if you don't have a good manager, it affects your mental health, first of all, because you're
Mm-hmm.
spending your 10 hours a day, you know at work. So it's very important to have that bond, right? For example, it's very important to not get micromanaged. It's very important to not someone be on your head, like ki, hua ki nahi, and something goes wrong, that person can take the responsibility for it. And the leadership qualities you look. I'm not saying like ऐसा manager ढूंढो कि यार तुम्हारे साथ everything should match it. The person should be respectable. The person should be like he, has been through the same struggles as you have been, which helps,
True.
right?
Mm.
So that is one point. And why product management is that key product mein, there is always a conflict between the other departments.
Yeah,
Everyone
Kairav,
wants to get
sorry
up.
to
Yeah.
interrupt you. I'll You can continue after a while, but I wanted you just told that you have to be able to be vulnerable with your manager. So
Mhm.
I have never heard somebody working in the corporate say this term, that boss ke saath vulnerable ho. Why is it that you are telling that being vulnerable with the manager is a good thing? And to I'm not saying open up about your personal life. Obviously, that is a silly way to ask.
Yeah.
But in terms of professionally, like professionally, kaise you can say that it is okay to be vulnerable with the manager. Can you explain that part?
Sure. So I mean, what I mean by that is that to be not always agreeing to what the manager says. So for example, let's say you are my manager and we're talking
Mm,
about something, and I feel like okay, we can go a different route with this particular idea, right? So I should be like, I shouldn't have that kind of filter in my mind कि मैं idea share करूँ कि नहीं. I
okay.
can freely share my idea even though I'm wrong. Well, I can be very,
Mm,
very wrong or completely wrong, right? But you can
mm,
correct me. I know that I'm just having a very informal discussion with you. So without
mm,
any filter in my mind. When you start having filters, right? That's where you stop sharing ideas. फिर वो धीरे धीरे ना you just accept things. You just be like
right.
okay, then you become a machine, right? कि हाँ चलो ये job है, and then you do it. There is
Mm,
nothing wrong in that. But वो
mm,
फिर वो back end job है. If you enjoy that kind of work, you can do it. फिर there is nothing wrong. There are people there ki jinko sirf defined kaam de do and they will do it and unka kaam ho jayega, they will enjoy life and go home.
Mm.
Works for you. But if you're not that kind of a person, if you're that kind of a person who's like, yeah, I want to be uh, pretty much involved in what the company is doing. I want to like, I have my own ideas to share. I'm that kind of a
Mm.
person. So वो filter होगा ना, it affects your thought process.
Mm.
It affects your कि मुझे कोई idea share करना है. I will be little bit hesitant to not to share it, right? So that's where I
Mm.
say it's not agreeing with the manager always, and knowing that okay,
Okay.
the manager, even if you're wrong, has your back, and he will have a very good brainstorming session with you. So
Mm-hmm. And since you said that there has to be disagreements between you and the manager, how do you, as a subordinate, with respect to the manager, deal with or put forth your idea to the manager?
yeah, see, there is all when it comes to product, right? There is always disagreements, and if you're agreeing, there is a saying, right? If you're agreeing in a product team, you're not doing something wrong because you see the product head should not always agree with the CEO, right?
Yeah.
Because product manager का काम होता है कि to make sure the health of the product is good. CEO will always say, okay, I want the result, but there is other
Mm.
sides to it with the product manager sees. So uh, when I'm saying, let's take my personal example, I'm speaking to a product manager, I always come with a documented version of what I want to say. You have to justify yourself. ऐसा नहीं कि चलो ये मेरे ideas है, right? Because the time is valuable. You have a healthy discussion. So every product manager to senior product manager or director product manager has a meeting set. Like defined meeting structure होता है हर company में, and then you come present your ideas. Then you share brainstorm on top of it. Then you document the final spec. We call it spec document. ये
Mm.
defined final spec document है, and it has everything, and then it gets distributed to engineers, analysts, data engineers. फिर उन पे वो लोग काम करते हैं. So the spec document is very very important to prepare, and वहाँ पे brainstorming होता है. So my approach is pretty simple. Like go ahead, make sure that you have something written down. Because if you haven't spent time personally with the document or what you want to say, तुम खुद ही clear नहीं हो, right? Because ऐसा हुआ है, initially I used to just go with the ideas, right?
Yeah.
But when I started writing things, फिर मुझे realize हुआ कि I'm answering my own questions. So उतना
Uh-huh.
टाइम बचा ना. So तुम 1 घंटा 2 घंटा फिर उस पर ही डिस्कशन होगा, मतलब नहीं है. So spend time, absorb everything. 3 दिन 4 दिन spend time, write everything down. So लिखोगे, it will be more clear. And then go to the product manager, senior product manager. Okay, this is my thought. What do you think
Mm.
about it? He can work
Mm.
on it. So it's a more of a healthy discussion, but start with something which you're clear about. So
Okay. So, Kairav, as a right, how long has it been at this place that you're working, that you have been working as a product manager?
see, I'm fairly new in the world of
Mm.
product, and product management is like 2 years are like just starting out. So I have like probably a product manager for 2 years. I've been
Mm.
a analyst for like 1.5 years or so. Then I moved to product
Mm.
management. So two
Mm.
years a full-time product manager to come
Mm.
today.
Right.
So yeah, I would say total 4 year, total 3.5 4 years in this company, and 2 years as a product manager.
Okay. So, as a product manager, how many products are you dealing with currently? And what does a day in your life as a product manager look like?
See, so we have a single service product, right? My company has a single service product, a platform,
Okay.
right? So within that platform, there is the business side here, there is a user side, right? It's a basically a P2P marketplace, I would say. So I'm handling the business side as well. कि पूरा onboarding होता है. Like if you are a customer, right? If you come to a website, what is your experience? तू पहले कौन से form पे click करेगा? फिर you come here, then you will okay, be sent out to sales. फिर sales से बात करेगा. Then the operations will come into place. फिर एक risk model होता है. Like we have to evaluate a business. I'm working for a fintech company, so we have a risk model, which pretty much makes sure कि कोई भी business आ रहा है, उसके पास इतना revenue हो. उसके बाद it's a good client in very simple
Okay.
language. So there is a risk model. So I
समझा.
work on that model as well. So pretty much I would say the business side and the risk model side, that's where I pretty much operate. But uske alawa, like there are many small things also. These are like very, very top level big things I'm talking about, which I own fully. So I have to make sure ये जो दो डोमेन्स है उस पे everything is proper. If anyone's facing any issue with it, it's my responsibility to fix it or reach out to the developers to fix it. But apart from that, फिर normal issues होते हैं. Sales marketing team, like, okay, you know what, I want to see मेरे ads कैसे function कर रहे हैं for a marketing team. Like, I'm putting out display ads, I'm putting out Google ads, I'm putting out Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads. जैसे podcast कर रहा है, like I'm putting out ads here. How are they functioning? So I want to build a dashboard, let's say marketing team. So छोटा एक project हो गया, which I work with the marketing team and make sure they get it. So I'm like kind of an interface, internally within the sales team, marketing team, and externally जो business and users है उनके लिए मैं product manager. So that's one side to it, and then internal product manager also I had. To answer the second question, my day-to-day life. See, I spend like 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. I'm just on calls. Just on calls.
Okay, just on calls.
Just
Wow.
Meetings. Because the thing is, like, I have, like, for example, there is a project assigned to a developer, right? So I make sure I have a 15-minute conversation, probably once in 2 days with that person, just to see like कुछ है क्या, and need not be कि मैं रोज बात करूँ उससे. One day skip हो गया ऐसे कुछ, but that is one thing कि I check in on every developer, every ongoing project कि कुछ गलत हो रहा है क्या, we are moving in the right direction or not, so that I can go and tell the stakeholder मतलब let's say marketing team का project है, तुम उनको बता सको कि what, this is the update, guys, we are here and estimated time to arrival ETA is like 15 days, और हुआ कुछ issue हो गया, okay, the estimated time of arrival is changed to 17 days, guys. So I basically also act as a communication point and also resolve anything which developers has an issue. The thing is, developers, they don't have any business side of knowledge, right? They are not exposed to the business side of the company, pretty much.
Correct.
Right? So it's my job to make sure keep the business side, the logic is working fine, it's healthy. The technical part, they can take care of it. There is senior developers also they can work with. But my job is to make sure कि हम लोग right track पे जा रहे हैं. So that is one meeting, and then just meetings with growth team, meeting with sales team, meeting with marketing team, meeting with operations team. If they have any issues, I note it down. Then I communicate product team, data team. So that are two things, but pretty much calls one. Like it's my job. I guess every product manager says, right, okay, that I am pretty much on the calls. It's not efficient always. It's not efficient. Sometimes I block my calendar. Okay, I want time, but it's important to be on the calls, right? You are there. If someone is working for you, not working for you. Working for you is a very, very long term, but working on something that you have assigned, and not as a manager, but it's something like you're working with them. So you make sure that okay, everything is going well and good.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that the product management is, now that you have described a lot about it, it is a phase of that के जहाँ पे जो engineers को interaction करना पसंद है, right? Like they are okay, they are happy with dealing with people, and they know how to talk to people are the ones that end up being a product manager. And the people who are happy with doing what they want to do, like the hardcore engineering skills, whatever they have studied, is what they continue to do as a technical in the technical team.
See, I mean, it's partly true. It helps, man. It helps. I would say if you are like, I would not say extrovert, right? If you like talking to people, right? If you like talking to troubleshoot problems, which is every engineer's, but front facing hota hai, if you like that, it will help you. Doesn't mean you can be a good product manager if you have those things like communication.
Right.
Help karta hai. The second thing which I've realized, right, over the period of time, it's very important to have a very be a presentable person. Like, for example, if you're working on something, if you assign me something, it's good. People want that, okay, you are there for them. So that's what product manager is, right? You don't want to be a burden to them. You're there to resolve their issues. Whether it be end users, business hai, ki internal their team members hai. Kuch issue ho raha hai, kuch ho raha hai. It's your responsibility to be there, okay, you know what? Tell me what it is. I'll resolve it with a smile. So it's very important, which I've realized very late in my life. So ये webcam hai, ये फिर a microphone hai. Since I'm in the meetings, right, throughout the day, it's very important for me to be that person, right? Because I don't want to be like complaining. If you're a complaining person to irritate ho jate, you cannot be a good product manager. Because your issues, take it, go back home and deal with it alone. If you deal with it with a senior product manager, तुम्हारा वो अलग से करो. But if you're with people, right, you have to make sure कि you're there for them. So that always helps. Like for example, I'm building something, right? मैंने कोई इंटरनल टीम के लिए डैशबोर्ड बनाया है, ऑपरेशंस टीम के लिए, तो मैं वो डिप्लॉय करता हूँ. सो नाउ देयर आर पीपल इन द कंपनी व्हिच आर लाइक विद द कंपनी वेरी वेरी लॉन्ग टाइम, एंड नॉट एवरीवन इज वेरी टेक सेवी, राइट? सो इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू दैट यू डोंट गेट फ्रस्ट्रेटेड.
हाँ,
तुम्हारा
अच्छा.
जॉब ये है कि तुम उनके साथ काम करो, बैठो, डोंट मेक देम फील लाइक यू आर लाइक अ मैनेजर और ऐसा कुछ, और तुम हो भी नहीं. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल टू क्लियर दैट आउट, यू आर देयर टू सॉल्व दैट प्रॉब्लम एंड बेसिकली असिस्ट देम. तो तुमको रुकना पड़ता है कॉल पे, तुम बैठो, मेक श्योर दैट एवरीथिंग इज परफेक्ट, द पर्सन अंडरस्टैंड्स इट इन देयर वे. So you don't have to be direct, but you do have to be subtly direct, if that makes sense. कि काम होना चाहिए, but not at the expense of, you know, some people
Displease.
feeling like please or changing that,
Got it.
because nobody likes change, man. Nobody likes change. मैं तुझे बोलूंगा कि तू इस पे 3 साल से काम कर रहा है, okay, system is now changed, now this is an updated system. Well, it's good for the company, but it's a change for you, right? So how do I make sure कि to transition तेरे लिए easy हो? So that is also part of product manager, which I recently realized.
Okay.
Internally, externally तो होता ही है कि उसको deployment phase बोलते हैं उसको, कि मतलब कोई नया
Okay, the
प्रोडक्ट
deployment of a
मार्केट में
new.
कैसे लाएंगे.
Right.
मार्केट में कैसे लाएंगे बोलते हैं ना, कि मार्केट में सबको रीच आउट करते, थोड़े यूजर्स का टेस्ट करते हैं, डे लाइक 100 यूजर्स को टेस्ट करते हैं, एंड इफ एवर एक्सपीरियंस इज गुड, फिर धीरे धीरे सब में रिलीज करते हैं. सो बीटा प्रोडक्ट, लाइक you understand it कि ये fully product नहीं है, टेस्टिंग के लिए
Development stage. Right. Just to add to this, when you said you are the product manager has to be interested in talking to people. I believe there is one change that or one addition that you can do. Now, it's not that as a product manager you love talking to people. It's the fact that you love talking about solving the problems of the people. बिकॉज वैसे तो लोग कुछ भी बात कर सकते हैं, राइट? कि छोटे छोटे बात पे यार रेलेवेंस होना चाहिए.
No, but the thing is, like, see, this is how I justify myself, product management. I feel like it's very close to it's close to storytelling. Right? It's close to filmmaking.
Okay.
Because as a filmmaker, what you're doing, as a director, sorry, you are pretty much directing the actors, this, that. Credit sub actors ko jata hai. I mean, it's good. They should get it. Product managers don't get credit at all, and that's fine. They are behind the scenes. उनको front end में आना ही नहीं है. तुम्हारा job नहीं है. अगर तुम आ रहे हो, तुम गलत कर रहे हो. First of all, your job is to be behind the scenes and make sure everything is healthy and everything is doing good. So, in my mind, I have a very close association to storytelling and product management. Like you are directing a film, you're directing a product. You're making sure कि ये ऐसे direction में जाना चाहिए. Where actors are the people who playing their own part, where developers, data engineers, same product में, they're acting their own part, doing things for the betterment of the film. So it's a complete unit, you know. So I see a very good analogy between, you know, filmmaking, you know, and storytelling and product. So this is a different way to justify product, but this is how I do it.
Right. Kairav, I have known you since, like, I would say 1.5 decades or something like that. And I know about everything that you have been through, and, you know, all both professional and personal. Two of the major, you know, milestones, I wouldn't say milestones, but projects that you undertook, which I would want to, I want to know more about, is that back when you were doing your bachelor's, you started a magazine called 10. And number two is the podcasting that you started in 2020, right? Now, two of these things, obviously back then you did not have the foresight that one day you will become a product manager. तो ये जो दोनों जो projects थे, how did those two projects help you, or you know, unconsciously you developed a skill which were relevant for the product management?
No, I mean, you answered my question actually. Unconsciously developed the skills, right? So I wasn't aware, you know. So actually that experience with 10, right, this bachelor mein, it immensely helped, because see, I was a reserved person. I was not like too much extrovert, you know me, right? I'm not itna nahi tha. But always had like something like I wanted to do something of my own. Like that was always there, back of the mind. So that helped a lot, because, you know, being into a startup, starting something, you know, during my bachelor's, it's kind of an amalgamation of the business side as well, the technical. So I got exposed to a lot of things, how a company works,
Hmm.
like from basic start point, like doing everything from scratch very alone, which helps. That mindset helps, not the skill set, but unknowingly, like I don't know how, I cannot, articulate it here, but it's good to start something in yourself. It doesn't need to be a successful thing or a failure, but if actually it has helped me in many, many different ways, which I cannot justify.
Hmm.
So my interest in like business grew after that. The things like, okay, how to measure कि simple profit and loss तभी तो इतना पता भी नहीं था it starts with that then
Ah.
you think about IRR also returns so it's a very very later stage, but it starts with
Hmm.
that, but your mindset starts building from that particular stage. So वो है. And podcast is like, dude, I you know me, right? I just like to talk and have conversations. So ऐसा
Hmm.
कुछ agenda नहीं था. It was
Okay.
pandemic 2020 COVID था, and I had
Hmm.
nothing to do. I was inside the house. US was closed outside. सब बंद था.
Hmm.
So I'm like, this was my long this thing कि I wanted to start from a long time, and you know it. तो मैंने सब खरीद के रखा था. I have like bought mics and all expensive this that, but I always
Hmm.
procrastinating कि नहीं करूँगा. And it's I call it like a it's a kind of I forgot the name. It's a syndrome, like because I always watch Joe Rogan. I always had like few people like heard like many podcasts. मैं बहुत सुनता हूँ podcast भी. So I love podcasts in a short.
Hmm.
I always compared myself कि यार ये level का. So I never started because I was like कि यार नहीं हुआ तो fun नहीं होगा, because I was like कि ये होना चाहिए. Nothing can be perfect, from the beginning. But I just thought कि let's go for it. And I guess you
Hmm.
guys also helped a lot. So I guess kudos to you and Krutat who were there कि चलो करते हैं. That helped me because you guys were there. So I started with that, and see, I love it, dude. I'm not getting time, and it's also part of me procrastinating here. I won't lie. But yeah, my agenda is nothing. ऐसा कुछ there is no advice thing. I tell again and again. ऐसा कुछ podcast पे आके you won't learn anything, something new.
Hmm.
Idea simple. I'm gonna tell stories. That's it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Right.
talk with people, have normal, simple conversation. Advice उसे करना ही नहीं है, and I enjoy it, and that's my goal right after retirement. This podcast is
After retirement.
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Because honestly, it's so
Oh.
fun. The beauty of storytelling, the beauty of podcast is so good. I guess in a few years, every media outlet, everything will be replaced by podcast. And I'm saying video as well as audio. It will be replaced because it's a very
Hmm.
powerful medium to tell stories. And
Yeah.
it's kudos to you. I mean, you have been consistent for so long. So I've seen you grow as well. And you know it, right? It's so fun. You learn a
Yes.
lot. You get to know different perspective. You become more human, more mature as a person, because मेरे thoughts ऐसे थे. Then I met with people. I'm like, okay, this was something I was thinking completely differently or wrong. So वो सब होता है, and it's a free education. Why
Right. Now, Kairav, I think you have answered uh, everything that I had the curiosity to learn about, but I think that still I'm missing out on something that I need to ask. Right. So what we'll do now is we'll go through some of your posts that you have written, and we'll try to break it down, and you can help me understand what does that post mean, and from what experience or from what place is it coming from. Okay, so Dev, can you so first of all pull up the PPT that he sent me, the PPT,
listen,
yeah, and go to the
a disclaimer. I have
first.
made this PPT very funny, and this is like very informal, because when I was giving this workshop, when taking this workshop, right, there was all the new people, all the young
Hmm.
students who were not product managers, very early into product management. So this was intro
Ah.
to product management kind of a workshop.
Hmm.
So I tried to not make it like very heavy, यार, क्योंकि ज्ञान वान
Hmm.
बांटना not, I don't like it. It was like 9 a.m. in the morning, dude. 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning. And there were like 80, 90 people India से join कर रहे थे सब लोग. मैं बोला यार, I don't
Ah.
want to say something which is like too boring and
Hmm.
another lecture for them. So just disclaimer, but this is not the right way
Right.
to do it in formal occasions. I will just mention it here.
Right.
But yeah, it's good.
Uh,
What I've written is, it makes sense to me at
yeah,
least.
it was indeed funny, and I think you वो बोलते हैं ना एक जेंसी वाला टच ऐड खो ही गया, because जो जो references थे, that those were something that people relate to because of the series, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so obviously this is the first introduction that you have given. The other, can you scroll down? Yeah, now this is a very famous scene from I forgot the name of the movie, just a minute. What is the name of the movie, Kairav? I can't recall.
Good
I've
Will
watched it
Hunting.
multiple.
Good Will
Ha.
Hunting, dude. I forced you to watch
No,
it,
no,
dude.
no. This is not Good Will
Oh,
Hunting.
sorry. The Dead Poet Society. My bad.
Ha, Dead
Actually,
Poets
Dead
Society,
Poet
right?
Society.
Dead Poets
But
Society.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, this is one of the the highlights of the movie. So can you explain this photo? What you are trying to convey from this photo?
See, it's like, as I said, right, the feeling you get after you
Hmm.
deploy a successful product, that feeling is very good. You know, like when I was starting out, right, when I bachelor's, I had this company, right, a small
Hmm.
company. But when you give your product to someone, right,
Hmm.
like man, I'm giving you my magazine, which I built, which
Hmm.
few team, 20 people built together, and this is my idea, and take this product. So taking that and giving it to someone, like, okay, this is a physical something of what I created. The experience, the dopamine is very, very good. Very,
Okay.
very trust. It's a very
Hmm.
good feeling, right? It's very, very good. Like, for example, if you build something, right, and some end user sitting in a different country, maybe a different state, is using your product, that feeling is so amazing. So it starts with that feeling. So that's what I'm saying.
Hmm.
Like, this
Can you show it again?
I'm not saying like, yeah, the jobs are these are bad. I'm just telling
Yeah,
my
yeah.
product. But
Not no dissing on other people.
but
Yeah.
it's like the feeling is very, very beautiful. Like, if you,
Uh,
it's like you have the power to create something and the other people will use it. That's
mhm.
so amazing, right? So that's what the post is about, right? Other things are like, it's important to sustain life, but product is something what you live for. That feeling, that that up and high feeling, जो मुझे, like, I experienced it during my this entrepreneurship days, right? That
Hmm.
feeling वो मुझे बाद में product से मिली. I never experienced that kind of feeling. You know, when you deploy
Hmm.
something, and the excitement of the how people will react to it. So that was the
Right.
post.
Right. Yeah. So why was this shocking? Okay, why were you surprised to see the definition of product management on Wikipedia?
Dude, it's very confusing. It's very unnecessarily technical. So
Okay.
see, even as a product manager, when I got first introduced to PM, like product, मुझे पता भी
Hmm.
नहीं था. So
Hmm.
okay, let's Google it. And
Yeah.
yeah, but the thing is, like, product is very, very subjective. Like, if you saw data analyst, right? If you saw data
Hmm.
engineer, there are certain things which completely make sense. कि ये skill set है, Python ये वो ये. If you know this perfectly, you can be a very, very good data engineer. That's for sure. I
Hmm.
can take 80% you can achieve it. Then it's 20% your skills. But the product, right? It's very, very subjective. Man. I can be a terrible product manager with all the certification, with all product certifications. I can be a
Hmm.
terrible product manager with all the product books मैंने सब पढ़ लिए, and I'm like,
Hmm.
चलो, go for it. No, the
Hmm.
only thing what taught me has to be a good product manager is just experience to fail,
Okay.
to fail.
Hmm.
And it's like कि बहुत caveats है. It's not something like, okay, ये करना है, I deploy it. No, that's not it. There is human
Hmm.
layers to it, which I realized later.
Hmm.
Right? There is something like which you don't see. कि ये तो मैंने expect ही नहीं किया था कि how people will react to this. So it's important to talk to the end customers also. So the Wikipedia definition, I don't agree with it. So I
Hmm.
don't know. Like, I'm not saying like something is wrong, but everyone has
Hmm.
their own definition of PM. I have my own definition of PM, which I mentioned in the below slide, which makes it clear for me. And
Right.
it's something I created, but there is like a article, a book I read about, and it made sense to
Hmm.
me. I'm like, okay, this is a simple version of what the Wikipedia is saying. Use that.
Hmm. Uh, Karan, this is a very beautiful thing that you just said right now. That I want to dig deep more into it. That product management is about the failures and learning from experience. Okay,
Hmm.
so obviously we are Indians. We have lived in India for a huge chunk of our life, right? एंड अपने को ये जो फेलियर वाला जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो
Hmm.
बहुत चुभता है. लाइक इट हर्ट्स अ लॉट कि जैसे ही वो एफ वर्ड सुनाई दिया people people judge you in a way कि यार this person cannot, you know, how should I put it, cannot succeed in his life. But right now you just said कि it is all about experience and experience comes from failing. So how do you justify failure as well? कि
Hmm.
क्या, to what degree of failure of to what degree of failure can a person fail up to be call it experience or to call it a complete catastrophe?
See, I'm coming back to the first thing I said, right? If you have good people behind you, right? good people. And कुछ हो गया, if you're starting out, right, you will fail and you have to fail. And in the PM, I'm saying you cannot be a good product manager if you don't fail initially. See, even if you have like 8 years of experience as a product manager, you will do most things right. But every company has a different vibe to it. I'm saying vibe here, Gen Z word, but every company has a different
Corporate culture.
culture
Yeah.
different. You're working with people. People are different. Product is different. Everything is different.
Hmm.
So you cannot be perfect, and there is no perfection in product management. Possibly nahi hai.
Hmm.
It's always incremental change. That's what product management is. Agile bolte hai. This agile scrum. It's like incrementally doing. Like you do something, then you realize, okay, users are not reacting to it the way you want to react. You go back to your
Ah.
work, you change, make change, you go back again, then you deploy it with few other users, you test it out. It's not working. Okay, let's change this. So A/B testing. There are different terms. Marketing, where it's like A/B testing, we call it. But product is all about incremental change. So it's like you
Hmm.
come back, make the change, go back again. So you have to win. It's not possible कि तुम I have never seen कि तुम deploy कर दो कुछ and it has been like one hit in the market. खत्म हो गया.
Hmm.
They might have tested it with so many people. Even iPhone, like when it first came, right? First iPhone, it changed, revolutionized the industry altogether. But I mean, it might have taken years of design work to build something like this. They might have tested it, like how user is feeling. How can you experience like if there is a new product, right, man, and you have not seen it, I've not used it. How do you know that how people will react to it? So it can never be perfect at all. So that's one thing. And talking from my experience, right? First, initially when I started as a product manager, again coming to your India point, right? In my
Hmm.
mind, I was like, it has to be perfect. परफेक्ट मतलब ऐसे में सोच के नहीं गया था बट यू हैव बिकॉज हमारा काम क्या है कि सब कुछ करना है सब रेडी दिस इज एवरीथिंग ओके दिस इज ये सब करेंगे we'll do this A to B सब कर लेंगे amazing product get that is done. So मैं first
Right.
मेरी meeting में गया ना I was assigned this thing a project of product. I was saying to look up to product. I'm saying कि एक operations के लिए मुझे internally कुछ बनाना था. I'm not gonna go into that. So I built everything. मैंने wireframes बनाया, mockups बना दिए, मैंने UX सब बना दिया. I went with a minimal design. मैंने spec sheet बना दी, सब कुछ कर दिया. And I went with the team. उनको बोला let's do this and it didn't work. मतलब इतना बुरा मीटिंग तो I never have realized. Then I spoke with the manager and he said कि you don't have to tell. The first thing which I've learned is to listen. So I was very fast speaker. Right, मैं बहुत fast बोलता हूँ because my mind होता है like I think very fast. तो मेरा बोलने का तरीका is also fast. So I used to listen very very less initially. I was like कि ये ऐसे होगा. Like everyone wants in India कि tell me what to do, but ऐसा नहीं है. Like now what I do is that I don't go with the spec sheet at all. मैं सिर्फ सुनने जाता हूँ. First two calls is just me listening, taking notes. मतलब if I'm doing something for you, right? You are from let's say operations team, let's say example, and तुझे कुछ काम है, you want to build something, so I will come to you. हम लोग meeting set करेंगे. I'm like, tell me about it, take me through. I'll just listen for 2 hours. फिर एक और call होगा, listen for 2 hours. That's my approach now. Because तुम सुनोगे ही नहीं कि problem क्या है, तुम solve क्या कर रहे हो. So if you see, I've written down in a slide, there is not a perfect solution. There is always a right solution. That so मेरे लिए जो solution है वो तेरे लिए नहीं होगा, right? Understand? So I am perceiving the product from my understanding. I'm not perceiving the product from a user understanding or perspective. So it can change, right? जब तक मैं तेरा problem समझूंगा नहीं, how will I know what I'm solving? So मेरी गलती वही थी कि मैं सब लेके चला गया. ओके चलो ये करेंगे, बट वो मेरा प्रॉब्लम था, मेरा परसेप्शन था. Doesn't mean it will work for you. So that is the first. So now I'm always in back of them and always tell myself, I do it now also. Speak less. Speak less. Speak whenever necessary. But मत बोलो. Don't share your ideas. Make sure the people share their ideas. Like have a conversation. थोड़ा ऐसा लगे कि मुझे मेरा idea share करना है. So and मेरा फिर काम easy हो जाता है. I just take their ideas, merge it, and it's much easier. So
Right.
rather complicated initially, in simple words. Yeah.
Kind of this incremental change that you talked about, right? I think I want to picturize it in words. This incremental changes that you talked about, right? Now I do completely find it relevant because when I until for a long period of time in my life as well, I was of the same thing कि यार क्या होता है पता है कि लोग ये चीजें करते हैं ना तो लोग सक्सेसफुल बन जाते हैं. XYZ कुछ भी करते हैं and then they end up at a very good place.
template.
But the truth about yeah, template. But the truth about that is to be able to देख किसी किसी का हो भी जाता होगा. I'm not complaining. I'm not against that. किसी का सब चीज ऐसा इतना perfect होता है वो हो जाता है. But I have come to realize कि bro, to be able to reach to that X, from destination X to a destination Y, there is no sure shot template, right? And the amount of incremental changes that you have to make every day, right? Not even every day, regularly, is an innate part of the process, right? Because even with this podcasting, some of the very simplest of the things I got to learn after a year. Until last year, which was like right in front of my eyes, वो नहीं हो रहा था click कि अच्छा this can be done to increase XYZ thing. But now that it has come to like it's a very tiny, it's a very minute change that you have to make to get a very huge result. Get what I'm saying? It's not a huge change. And when you
The
say
change is
that,
big for you, right? That
yeah,
incremental, which just seems like a very small thing, but it is very huge from your own perspective, right?
right.
So yeah.
And again, when you say, yeah, you used to talk fast, and I think we have had this discussion where while I was reading this book, 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, right? There is this fourth or fifth rule where he says that assume that the person you're listening to knows more than you, right? So that is something, it has been really changed. It has changed completely the way I mean, तुझे कोई और source से पता चला, मुझे ये source से पता चला, but the end of the result is the same. So I totally understand that part. Now, Dev, can you pull up again the share
मुझे तो
screen?
direct feedback मिला actually. It speaks slow.
हाँ,
मुझे
क्या?
तो direct feedback मिला है. I got a direct feedback only in my first
अच्छा,
year in corporate life. He speaks slow. The thing
अच्छा.
is like you feel like people will understand what you are thinking, but you are skipping words, right? तुम्हारे mind में you said the word, but when you verbally saying it, you skip the word, right? So when you speak slowly, you are making sure every word what you're thinking is coming out verbally as well. So that's something I realized. So yeah.
Dev, can you pull up the PPT again? Yeah. Okay, business is this part, technical is this part, and customer is UI, UX, human resources part, and the intersection of all three is product management. Okay, this is understandable. This hold down. Can you explain this one, Kairav? Transitioning into product management, the how? And there is a triangle that you have used to mark your territory of product management. So, इसका मतलब क्या है?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that as I said, right, within product manager also is a bhi hua hai in the last few years, right? There is growth product manager. I started out as a growth product manager. Then there is technical product manager. Then there is product operations, right? There is product marketing manager. There is different types of product bhi kaam karte, but coming from a different departments, right? For example, like I was solely doing marketing, right? There are technical skill lena dena hai bhi nahi, right? I will be doing product for just marketing. For example, if you are a marketing company, right, then your core product is marketing, right? So I come from a marketing background and I can be a product manager. So this basically says that you can come from any background into product management. There is openings in any background. So if you go in that particular diagram, the triangle is basically the intersection point of two things. The
Can you pull
business
up again?
yeah. Yeah. So if you see, right, technical product manager hai. So it's basically a line between business and technology.
Correct.
Right? So वो थोड़ा उस पे heavy है. Doesn't mean they don't talk or do things about customer, but they come from that side. They're heavy on this technical side, right? फिर growth product manager, right, is here pretty much. Business technology इतना नहीं है. It's not that much. Imagine this line as a scale. That triangle का एक side as a scale. It's more towards the business side because you're working with the growth team. Growth team is sales and marketing. Sales क्या conversion. Conversion is everything about conversion. कि इतना है, इतना मुझे चाहिए, इतना conversion होना. So you're more towards the business side, right? You are exposed more towards business side. Doesn't mean you don't do technology or customer, but it's heavy on that side. So that's what I mean, right? You can come from a different background. You can do something specific, and these are the things which people have made. ये सब नाम create हुआ industry में, but everyone is called a product not even a manager, product owner. Product owner is a correct term. A product manager सब बाद में आया. फिर there is this product all this some naam sab, it just basically semantics, it just came afterwards. The ideal initial term बहुत सबसे पहले जब introduce हुआ था, it was product owner only. The thing with manager is manager में ego boost आता है. You see that is an actual reason, man. There's an actual reason why people like to be managers, because they feel we will be managing people. It is so bad. It is so bad. Like the like we need people to manage people. The concept is so wrong, right? There is actually case study here which I read about in product. Agile may actually the people talk about it. Why do you need people to manage people? If your team is functioning well, everyone knows what they're doing, and everything is working fine, you don't need someone to manage people. You just need someone to manage the product. So वहां से वो product is a manager who's हम लोगों ने create किया है. It's a TCS, Infosys, it's a managers. I want to be a manager. So it's a like
good ego boost.
So it's like unnecessary thing. There is a Scrum master, by the way. Actually, product में क्या होता है? There is one product owner, there is one Scrum master. So product owner and Scrum master works well together.
Okay.
You know, dragon race. Have you seen the dragon race? If Manan can pull up that photo, just dragon race ka if you Google dragon race.
Okay, they can pull up dragon race.
A good explanation to what I'm saying there.
Okay, we'll have a look at that, because I'm hearing this for the first time, so even I don't know what is.
It's interesting. So you see why there is one person sitting towards the people. You see this? There is one person always behind. लोगों के पीछे रहता है, standing, right, in the dragon boat race, and one person sitting towards the person, right? He's playing drums, playing like loudly drums. So his job is to make sure the people are doing good and they are syncing, they are coordinating together. So product manager जो पीछे खड़ा रहता है ना, his job is to just कि कौन से direction में जाना है. He's not managing the people. If you see this dragon boat race, the person who is interacting to the people, who's making sure कि लोग sync में है, लोग are coordinating. You know, like there is drum beat पे they move the paddle. If you see this, move the paddle together on the drum beat, making sure कि everyone, because let's say if I'm doing it even 3 seconds out of time, basically we're wasting each other's energy, right? We are canceling each other out. The person who drum बजाता है, उसका job is like कि everyone do this the time when the drum beat is, जब drum बजता है, I would say. So that is people. So that is Scrum Master. That is what's and actually में ऐसे explain किया गया है. That is how the concept grew. You know, Scrum Master क्यों चाहिए? तो Scrum Master क्या है? उसका job is like कि my team is working good, and he's not managing people. He's like कि for example, I'm a developer, you are a developer. मुझे कुछ issue आ गया, right? तो मैं उसके पास जाऊँगा. Scrum Master is making sure कि everyone's mental health, everyone's like सब सही जा रहा है. Like not by managing people, but making sure by helping developers, by answering the question, by being there for them. Product owner क्या करता है? Product owner is just directing. If you see one tall guy at the end, it's not in this photo, but it's always there. He's just directing. कौन सी direction में जाना है? Rest of the people are just like paddling. They're not,
right.
They don't care about like directing the boat, right? Direction में पीछे वाला देता है, and then everyone is like just paddling. So that is the concept. That is how Scrum Master, then Scrum team developers, data engineers जो बीच में बैठे हुए हैं, and then there is a product. So product owners, it's not product manager at all. You're not managing people only. You're managing the product. Direct कर रहे हो. And Scrum Master is also not managing the people. He makes sure कि everything is going in sync. जो direction में हम लोग जा रहे हैं, वो direction में पहुंचे क्या? When everyone is coordinating. कुछ गलत हुआ तो he tells the product owner कि थोड़ा रुकते हैं. Don't go in this direction. थोड़ा रुकते हैं. गए लोग. थोड़ा थक गए. बोलते हैं ना, product language I call it a sprint. We have a 2-week sprint. इतने काम करना है 2 week की sprint में. So it's like कि इतना नहीं हो पाएगा. Scrum Master say कि it's too much for the people. Please let's increase this, not increase, but let's reduce the task. The priority थोड़ी change करता है priority list. That's how it happens. But ये सब अभी manager and everything. But this is a very good concept which I realized and मैंने पढ़ा था when I learned Scrum and changed my mind, changed my concept of management altogether.
You just said you learned Scrum. मतलब are you talking about this analogy or is there a separate certified course ऐसा कुछ किया था that you're talking about?
Scrum is a very very old practice. Scrum, Agile. It's a way of doing building a product team. It's a way
अच्छा.
of deploying a product. वो एक practice है. Like
अच्छा.
तूने Toyota के बारे में सुना होगा कि how Toyota like just in time manufacturing. If you haven't heard about it, like in manufacturing,
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
it's a methodology like how to organize and deploy products. So
समझा.
Scrum is very very old, 19 I guess 60s 70s even back. I'm
Right.
not 100% sure, but uh, it justifies ये सब
Wow.
update आया मतलब like manager introduce करते हैं so it ruined it, but this is how
Yeah.
the actual this thing is there. And
Wow,
yeah,
this is a
interesting ना
mind
मतलब
blowing. Yeah, this is really interesting.
so interesting
I was
and doesn't
mind
apply to
blown.
product and doesn't
Yeah,
apply
yeah.
to product. It can apply to any team, right? You don't need people to manage people, right? That is so wrong, right? So
Right. Mind blown. I'm mind blown with this analogy that you just told me. Now that, I mean, obviously there were parts. Obviously, I didn't have the complete understanding, but this analogy clears out a lot of related questions that might arise in the future. कि अच्छा ये analogy say you can take the answer. But
yeah.
fantastic analogy, Kairav. Just one, will move into the last phase of this conversation. And so far, I've had a very learning conversation with you. It is only about a few months ago, probably 6 or 8 months ago, you added this title to your LinkedIn profile, which says CSPO.
Okay.
So, what is this CSPO? Okay, वो ऐसा like certification courses होते हैं. People who want to do be a product manager. Yeah, this was your own voluntarily learning or upskilling yourself.
This was just upskilling. So I knew about Scrum. I showed you one example, right? Scrum.
Hmm.
So this is like certified Scrum product owner. That is what it is about. So it's like you are a practitioner of Scrum, and it's see the thing is like certification. I'm not for certification. I wouldn't recommend it, right? If you're starting out in product management and तुमको कुछ certificate मत करो यार. There's no point in holding certification as a product manager because it's a very subjective role. If you're like 3-4 years, 2 years down the line, तुमको 1 साल हो गया कि 2 साल हो गया doing product, then it's good to just learn about it, right? So it was some certification where I learned more about Scrum, where I okay, you know what, I knew these things, but okay, this is something I want to know more. That was the understanding about the certification, nothing else. ऐसा कुछ out of the box सीख नहीं लिया मैंने. And you cannot learn product management. There's no way you can learn without experience. The only way is to just go into it, dive into it, and then you will learn it. That's it.
Right. Okay. And so if somebody wants to do this CSPO, so how should the person do this CSPO?
So there are
Like,
many
is there a website?
there is like Scrum Alliance करके है, there's Scrum org करके है. There is like many trainers, Scrum certified trainers in India also. US maybe it's like it's in all the parts of the country, and Scrum.org is like very renowned. So बोलते हैं ना CA में there's chartered accountancy, there is like official chartered accountancy board, right? There is Scrum. There are different parts to it also, but there is Scrum Alliance is very known. Scrum org is like from very long time. So I would recommend that. But again, coming back, see, you can take, but it's very expensive, man. Like, I think in India it's like $37,000. And when I was there in the certification,
Wait, 30 to $35,000 or rupees?
Sorry, rupees. I'm sorry. 35 India, 35,000 rupees. And here it was around like $300, $350. US में that's the price, which is relatively expensive, right? So if you're a student, don't do this. It's not worth it. You won't understand a thing because उसमें relevance नहीं रहेगा. Like it helps when you are doing product in a company. So directly you can take it from there and you can implement it here. But start with like if you want to get into product, I would say just learn about product. Like for example, how Spotify is built. Right? There is a very good podcast by How I Built This. I forgot the Kairav. Yeah, Kairav, How I Built This. Amazing podcast. He invites people, founders, and they just talk about how they build products like Spotify, any product, sub products. Every founder I've pretty much known companies, sub hai wahan pe. And it's a very good intro to product management, I would say. And that will see. First thing is like you need to get passionate about product, right? You need to get excited about the product. Once you get excited, your learning will follow. right? So once you start learning ki, this is interesting, right? How they build this, then everything will follow. So I will recommend that if you want to, like, if you're very, very early, and you don't know. So,
Now, one last question, Kairav. Now, obviously, you must have interacted with many other product managers as well. What is the industry standard of building a product to be fully functional? Like, if I am, let's take my example over here, okay, ताकि मेरे को समझ में आए. I started this podcast last year, 2021 July. Okay. Now you as a product manager, now that you're observing what is the output of this podcast in terms of कितना regularly हम post कर रहे हैं, Instagram पे कैसा है, ये वो, etc.
yeah.
etc. In your estimate, what would be and how do you calculate the the full क्या बोलते maturity of the product?
See, there is always this bifurcation, right? To answer your question, but it applies to everything, not only a product, but must to have, need to have, good to have, and great to have. Four categories. Let's take, right? If you're building something, right? Let's say if you're building like a book, right? तो book में must to have क्या है? Pages, right? Pages होने ही चाहिए, like उसके बिना book बनेगी नहीं. You need something to hold the pages together, binding, anything like a cover. So that these needs to be there, or ink honi chahiye. So these are like very, very must to have, right? If you need to have like a font alignment straight hona chahiye, it should be in a language which people will understand. I'm taking a very, very basic example here, but you get it, right? So these are like need to have. उसके बिना तुम्हारा product receive ही नहीं होगा. Then good to have पे आते हैं. Good to have like fancy.
Covers,
good to have, or I would say ki have a prelude, have like a content, first page में थोड़ा introduction. Good to have, right? It's good book and novel. I would like to read it. And then great to have will be a fancy cover, fancy novel cover. See, it's not necessary, right? But it's great to have for a product. So all the four stages cannot be reached at once. I mean, I'm not talking book here anymore. Book mein to you do it, but let's say a product, right? So initially, if you don't have you cannot build a perfect product, right? So start with must have. कि ये basic चीज है, मुझे पता है this is the problem, this is the problem I'm targeting, and this is what I'm solving, this is my solution. ये must to have हो गया. फिर need to have करूंगा, उतना हो जाए, then I will launch it in the market with few users, test करूंगा beta product. Take the feedback, right? ठीक है, go back, change the must to have and need to have, उसको perfect बनाओ. Like once that is perfect, right? Basic functionality है, वो fix हो गई, like the purpose this product is built. If that is fixed, then you move to good to have and great to have. फिर मैं करूँगा कि चलो थोड़ा UI UX I will improvise. कि थोड़ा black button की people are scrolling a lot, like इतना scroll नहीं करना है, I will just put an option here. That is good. Great to have कि people have like so many questions. कि भाई चलो chatbot डाल देता हूँ so that people can directly communicate to me, can reach out to my sales. That is great to have. So to build a product, like for podcast also, right? Now you have all the background, you have all this, but you started with the normal Zoom. For you to do a podcast, Zoom mic भी तुझे नहीं चाहिए था. I'm saying like I'm not talking about you here, but I'm talking in general. To do a podcast, you need mic, you need a Zoom account so that you can talk to people because you cannot meet them in person. And laptop चाहिए तुम्हारे पास.
Video editor.
And you itself should be there. And the guest should be there. बस वो must to have हो गया. We need to have में तुम कर सकते हो, questions आ गए तुम्हारे, conversation pointers आ गए, then great to have background आ गया तुम्हारा, फिर मनन आ गया, sorry, Dave can be a great to have, good to have, sorry.
Dave is a must to have.
Dave is now must to have. But I'm talking like very, very person who wants to like start a podcast. Not everyone is a Dave, right? Not everyone is a Dave. So I mean, Dave is now must to have for this podcast. Correct. But if someone wants to start, say, कर सकते हैं. But yeah, then you get the point, right? You get the analogy again. So.
Right. Oh, Kairav, amazing. I mean, it has been really learning experience for me to talk to you. Reason being, as friends, we have never talked about, or I would say, I would take a little bit of accountability over here that I did not ask you or any of my engineer friends exactly what they do, right? And because everything that you have said is see, if you were seeing my face, right, I was constantly smiling. Why? Because there is वो एक light bulb जल जाता है कि अरे इसने जो बोला क्या सही बात बोला. And it is not a should I say, a template to getting what you want, but it is the template to implement a process,
Hmm.
right? And that is what gives you the result. It is, and obviously the result is not in our control. But overall, I was just smiling, and every time he said something in the past one, I would say half an hour or 45 minutes, as I was like, oh yeah, this is really exciting, bol. And I'm glad that we could do this.
No, no, good to know that, man. I mean, I don't get a chance. I mean, not chance, but ऐसी बात होती भी नहीं है to talk very specific because like हमारी बात ही बहुत कम होती है, like अभी which is bad. I feel
Mm,
more, but obvious reasons we are busy in our own lives and वो सब है. But it's good to talk, man. Like
mm,
yeah, it's fun and ये सब realizations है. This is not like I'm giving advice or something. These are the
mm.
things I've realized over time,
Uh,
and it's good to share it, and it's all we always do this, right? We always share things which is like, okay, this is something new I knew, ऐसा मैंने
mm,
कभी पहले पता नहीं था, and this is what makes you, right? This is what like makes life living worth, I would say, in
mm,
a
mm,
very
mm, mm.
real way. So it's fun. Yeah,
Right. Wow, great episode, and thank you for doing this once again.
cool, man. Thank you so much, man. Thanks, Dave. Enjoyed it. Thank you.